Good afternoon, everyone. How's it going?
Hi, Sean.
Hey.
Good.
There's such a crowd, I can't believe it. I appreciate everybody coming. Welcome to a haunted afternoon at Queset House. Everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, great.
There's a little echo in this.
Well, I have a small echo on the speaker anyway, that's why.
Oh.
But I wanted to at least let you know, it's funny how I said it's a haunted afternoon. It is indeed, because there are spirits in this room.
Yeah.
I was told from ghost hunters just before me that there are, and if you're interested, there are 2 tickets remaining in their of the 2 tickets available to join them tonight. At least I was told, and I'm going to try and get them next year. But right now, I am going to take over, or at least let the open micers take over. It's been a while since I did this, but we're going to do. There's 4 of the Zoom people here. Thank you to see all my regulars that used to come to Main Street. But let's start off. Let's lead Craig Fredericks to the microphone. Craig?
Craig Fredericks, Randall Street, here in town, about 3 miles away. I haven't done this one here. I've done poems at the library, 2 or 3 different rooms in the library. Also across the street, remember when the library had that little building, that little pink building? I've done poems there. I've done poems a couple places here. I went to that poetry workshop that they had upstairs for a while. But as far as this room goes, I've never done this poem. She was barefoot, and the boardwalk was hot, so she was skipping one mossy crack oasis to the next, occasionally finding maybe a fig leaf of shadow. So I threw down my towel and she trounced on it and leapt on. Thank you very much. I'm an award-winning poet. Sean has given me an award.
I did.
It was second place. Actually, I got a second and a third. The third was a nice trophy. The second is a plaque, and if you don't believe me, it's in my car. Since I didn't realize, I thought I only wrote 1 new one, so I'm going to save that for last. So I decided I'm going to read this 2011 poem, which is my award-winning poem, one of my award-winning poems. And it was written on 9/11/11, and I consider it my 9/11 poem. It's called How Scary. How scary is this thing supposed to be? It's just for Halloween, so I'm thinking scary like a Nixon mask. You know, scary like Boo. Scary like a spider web, a snake escaped from the zoo. Not real life scary, like windshield meeting rock, kids wicked sick and you can't reach a dock. Not scary like stuff the FBI stops and turns out president's gray. Just scary like a Nixon mask, you know, scary like Boo. Scary like a spider web, vultures and bats escape from the zoo. How scary, let's not go chainsaw. Halloween scary. Something nasty with a claw. Not scary like once in a perfectly blue sky, because that's not it. Scary like a Nixon mask, scary like Boo. Scary like a spider web, and for the zoo escape, a large gorilla. No, not too scary. Let's make it a small kangaroo. Thank you very much. And now I have a poem that's kind of new, like I was writing it right over there. Hi, I'm calling this a sonnet. So I have 14 lines to do. And you can call it a bit. And to get things going, move it along, this is all a part of it. I did a Halloween poem for Sean a few years back called How Scary. It was about the 9/11 attack. 10 lines left now for those keeping track. Don't like doing scary poems. For what's scarier than a hammer in the night? I want to do something about attractive witches. You know, keep it light and bright. A Wicca was a wise woman 1,000 years back. It's where witch begot. Then I guess somewhere along the line, people forgot. Growing up with Bewitched, I've always thought of witches as pretty and smart. And of course their wicked sisters, especially hot. Samantha's twin was Serena. Paul Nancy Pelosi, I think their attack, it has something to do with the witch thing. It goes back to attacking the witches. And why won't they let Michelle Wu talk? Have you tried, you watch her on the news, nobody, they're still attacking the witches. 3 lines left, so here's your haiku. Witches aren't evil, not even Sam's twin, Serena, who was wicked hot. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Craig. It's been a while. Good to hear you back, man. We will follow up with Miss Louise Derry Wells. Louise.
Thank you. No problem. Sean is my very favorite. He has been a host for me at my Halloween venues for Arts from the Heart, and he is wonderful as Alistair. Love to have him. I've also been to his Main Street venues and participated in his Gothic horror poetry events. And I too was awarded at one point. Thank you, sir. So I have Halloween standbys. The first one is Halloween. Halloween is a bridge between soul land and no man's land, of pale aspirations and watery promises so thin they pass like translucent clouds before a full moon, me. Yes, I don't believe you, ghostly huckster. I am full and bright like that large orb in an inky sky, hanging so heavily above the skeletal forms of admonitions you fail to heed. Or thought I could be fooled, ha ha. You vampire bat flying before me, I expose you to a light that can't destroy you. We have fed from each other. Do you know that bridge of bones and dragon's wings releases me to fly upon my broomstick, beating you senseless with delight? 1,000 ravens fill the sky so that I'm eclipsed, but for a time. In the dungeon where my luster cannot reach you, a pining form, only imagination shackles you, and freedom within reach. Perhaps as a mummy you will stagger from your tomb to greet me, and I will unwrap your linen, Osiris, beloved by his Isis. This has been a long tale, 100 years gone by, and still I wait for you in Soul Land, a luminous orb in our Halloween sky. This is one for Edgar Allan Poe, and part of the poem concerns his detective novels and his hero, C. Auguste Dupin. So he shows up in this missive, reflecting upon his life, and irony is within. The Purloined Poem, a lost entry by E.A. Poe, 1849. Annabel Lee said to the raven from her perch high over the sea, Poe's perspicacity has brought about their enduring ruin. They have hung the black cat by the neck of their own guilt. The Red Death shall ever lurk behind the mask of their denial. Brick by brick, amontillado, in every man is compelled to his doom. The pendulum scores its gory path across an eternity of lives, and the telltale heart will betray their deeper corruption. Poe continues, all poets are thought fools, silly their detractors and sycophants alike, who believe in life and love in the face of death and loss, who are deceived by the glow of consumptive metaphors and enraptured by gruesome images rhymed with blood. Oh, my obsession for the lost Lenore, and savaging of trust, and for Usher, deceased by a certain heightened acuity of the senses. My fevered imagination is ravenous with desire and dread. I am a somnambulist compelled to their destruction. Poe goes on in an aside, changing to prose. This poem of mine, a confession, if you will, was purloined by the very clever Minister D of my invention and lay in full view of the seeker until discovered by the superior C. Auguste Dupin, who laughed to suggest it is a matter of understanding the manner of intelligence of the thief, of the murderer, of the miscreant, of this depraved poet, this purveyor of terror, inhabitant of ditches and a pauper's grave. I am, after all, both poet and thief. E.A. Poe, number 80, now with weeds overgrown. I was derided, cast out, and forgotten. My insidious presence has lingered by my intention, however, in the psyche of my readers, evermore. And the final one, The Haunted Baby. This next one is a true story of the haunting of my house in Falmouth and all the paranormal phenomena that occurred.
Wow.
And it is dedicated to Edward Gorey, in whose style I tried to write it. In her 20s, Miss Louisa Pettigrew was quite depressed and frequently contemplated suicide. However, she was very serious and devoted to her studies, which included the paranormal. On bright sunny days in the summer, she was seen sitting in the darkest shade, reading Carl Jung's Archetypes of the Unconscious. She frequently declined dates with attractive men to attend her weekly training in mediumship at the local spiritualist church. She studied Kundalini Yoga, but was vaguely disturbed by the idea of a serpent ascending her spine. That frequently happened. One day she made the fateful decision to rent the lower level of a summer cottage near the parking lot of a motel. On her visit to the current occupant, she noticed that the interior of the cottage was divided into sections by numbers of brightly colored sheets. The woman who lived there was old, seemed pleasant, but owned 20 cats. Miss Louisa Pettigrew moved in, but found herself disturbed by the discovery of a dirt basement at the intersection of a ley line. One day, sitting on her bed, she felt the impact of what felt like a battering ram up and down the side of the cottage. At first, her reaction was blasé. That night, at precisely 3 a.m., she awoke from a dream, convinced that a large power cable was stretched on the floor under her bed. The following night, at 3 a.m., she awoke to discover a large black incubus was attempting to mount her. Terrified, she found herself unable to prevent the thing from sucking the energy from her solar plexus. She grew a bit more concerned with the electric discharges in her brain, which she speculated were caused by a buildup of energy at her corpus callosum. She telephoned the pastor of the spiritualist church, who said he would pray for her, and hurried off the phone. At 3 a.m. that night, she awoke to find herself pressed up against the ceiling. She speculated was a case of astral projection. She did what she could to prevent suffocation. On the following night, various successful suicides and deceased murderers materialized at the foot of her bed to request her assistance. She awoke one night to the deafening sound of her Tupperware being banged against the sides of her pantry cabinets. She blamed this at first on the hordes of field mice who invade nightly through her stovepipe. But turning on the pantry light, she found nothing there. By the sixth night of this, she was exhausted, having experienced most of the possibilities of the paranormal. She was convinced something very large and black regarded her across the bathroom from the vicinity of her stereo set. She found particularly sadistic its habit of turning on her gas heater on a hot summer night. Finally, Miss Louise Pettigrew awoke to find the entire house shaking with the impact of something falling on the roof. She heard a lot of swearing and what sounded like an aerial fistfight. She ran outside to find her upstairs neighbor peering over the rooftop. Equally concerned, the fight continued with no evidence of combatants. An amazing variety of nightly phenomena continued with no surcease. A year later, having completed her studies, she finally contemplated to move to a quieter location. She was relieved to arrive home one night to find it emptied by a thief. Thank you.
Next up is another regular that I have not seen for some time now, but I'd like to welcome back Alan Howard to the microphone. Alan?
Thanks. Well, thank you for having me today. I have hopefully 3 poems to read. The first one is actually for our friend Sean over here, and it's called The Haunted Children.
Run.
Turn and from a deep black void, proceed to what you cannot fathom, the sound of squirrels crashing dead. Through patent leather hard of night, on paths of charcoal cruelty, this place, I said, it makes me cry. I wish I was not here. Try to distinguish between passing sighs from inner depths. The haunted children sit and watch the other ones go marching by. Bright red bows and painted toes, they love themselves, the silly sweet. This place, I said, it makes me cry. I wish I was not here. Sometimes visions of pink frocks and the final birthday present, smooth white arms that cease to satisfy, but slowly, like delicious self-torture. This place, I said, it makes me cry. I wish I was not here. Thank you. This one is a little more Halloween-y, I guess, if you could say that. And ironically, someone who was just reading spoke about Edgar Allan Poe, and this poem in particular is dedicated to him. It's called A Raven's Night. Of course, he wrote a famous poem about a raven. So, let's continue. Night, black as raven wings, dark stars illuminating a crooked path to the big mansion on the hill. Daylight scary, scarier at nightfall. It was said that the old man who dwelt there had one party a year on Hallows Eve. It was also said that some of his guests never left. It was also said that the best hand-cut cinnamon sugar donuts and warm apple cider was passed out to all who entered in, if they dared. A true challenge for a 10-year-old boy. The squeeze of my little sister's hands startled me back to reality. She was dressed as a golden princess with a wand. Me, masquerading as a disheveled hobo. My charcoal makeup made the whites of my eyes whiter. My dad's old hat pulled down, hiding my inner fears and face from night creatures on the prowl. An October snowfall made each step we took sound crunch, like walking on the brittle bones of dead things underground. This was no Samhain night. Was this the time that we were closest to the dead? Now, I wished I had stayed in bed. A yowling cat made my skin tingle. A furtive glance behind revealed a trio of flesh-eating zombies hot on our trail. I could smell the blood dripping from their battered faces. There was no turning back now. I heard a choir singing, a soul cake, have mercy on all Christian souls for a soul cake. I thought of my 5th grade teacher reading us Poe's Telltale Heart. Was I hallucinating, like his character from the start? Being insane was the vulture's eye to blame? My heart was pounding like the dismembered victim beneath the floorboards. While I pondered, weak and weary, would I be seeing a talking raven next? Nevermore would I venture out on Halloween night. Suddenly a light shone bright. As an open doorway I beheld. As I beheld a black bird's feather on the step, the air thick with apple and cinnamon scent, a Halloween never to forget. Thank you so much. I do have one more that I can squeeze in here. It's not so much Halloweeny, but it's about taking public transportation, which if you've been that often enough, it can be like Halloween. So, it's called The Road. Transformations created a new ecstasy in the bus. As a man moved toward the abysmal road with his eyes, he surveyed the terse brink of despair. As it neared, he cringed from the rigid rubber matting that threatened him. And as he looked up into their faces, the smiling advertisements crushed him. They looked ridiculous enough to make him want to burn them. The dirty woman who had sat to his left now held the pole. He hated her because she smelled and cared nothing about the night or the road, which loomed so close below their fixed stance. She slipped downwards through the open door as he hoped she would, and he stepped hard on her outstretched, pale, writhing hand. As he ground her wrist into the dirty gravel on the road, the zoo creatures who were watching from their cages knew he had pushed her, and he didn't care, and they knew that too, because he was running too fast to hear their curses, and suddenly he couldn't breathe anymore. And black stars lit up the subtlety of his vision as a smile of self-consciousness crossed his dirty face, and he wept in the fear he had so well concealed. Thank you very much.
How we doing?
Good.
There's the door. Okay, well, we have come down to our last reader for the open mic portion. I'd like to welcome a newcomer. I haven't met them yet, but I'd like to bring up Brett Sheehan. Brett?
Hello everyone, I'm Brett. I just have one piece to read for y'all today. Up until this spring, I took about a 2-year stop from writing and gotten back into it. So this is one from my archives. It's one of the few poems I have that I gave a name to. This one's called Recurrence. I'm not awake, I can't be, I need to be, quickly, before he finds me in my demented fairy tale. The ghost from this place, coming for my dream catcher, my knife, and now my life. Desperately still napping at flint, trying to gain a spark, while his storm sings around me, counting the seconds between the claps. 1, 2, another, 3, 4, several more, 5, 6, another. I lose the count, but still no light. What should be far off shakes the core around me. I can't see the sky, the trees, that smooth hands that throttles me. An invasion of roots tightens the trachea till the eyes see stars. I'm not awake, I'm not awake. This time I follow the front and chase down the sound in the clouds. He divides his mouth to sing away the light. With my own voice, I make the lumens crack. And where he was from, the light sends him back. Am I awake? I'm not awake. Over yonder in the east, a camp is made, and they sing his song. I'm not asleep. I'm wide awake.
Well, that concludes our open mic section. I'm gonna take 5 minutes to finish setting up, and then we will have the featured reader, me, Sean C. Theall. It's really hard to introduce yourself, but yes, give me 5 minutes and we'll continue. I just have to set some stuff up. Thank you. The first piece I'm going to do right now is relatively new. It's called A One-of-a-Kind Halloween. Okay? And I hope you enjoyed it. Here we go. Night is fallen, and spirits are calling mortals to the cauldron. Stories of old are told here. By night's end, the color in your face will disappear. Wishing you all a one-of-a-kind Halloween or Hallows Eve. As the music plays down, pleasant nightmares to you all until dawn arrives. My last piece of advice: try to survive. Thank you. All right. Now I have to find the next one up. I'm sure it's all on my phone, so I have to scroll. Yeah. Okay. This next one, I'm going to go completely out of order. But this next one is called I Play with String. I play with string, a Oh, by the way, just so you know what I mean by that, like, you know, choking, hanging, that type of situation.
Yeah.
Okay? Just want to let you know what's going on. Okay, I play with string. I play with string. I play with a rope. And I even have a stash of garrote wire. If I catch you, your windpipe has a tear's chance of hope. In my playroom, I have nail-tipped jacks, and I watch you squirm as I decide whether or not to let your loved ones have you back. My intentions are well hidden behind a mannequin smile. Just remain quiet and let me watch you suffer for a while. There goes the bell that tells me to prepare your personal drowning pool, to watch you gurgle and gasp for air. Now that sounds like fun. Cool. Your eyes are closing, fading fast, going down deep into hell. My final wish is that your nightmares last forever and that you never sleep well. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, everybody knows Lecter's lecture. Everybody knows Hannibal Lecter?
Well, not in person.
All right. Well, I decided to come up with a poem where what would happen if Hannibal Lecter decided to do a lecture at a high school or college. Okay? And
That's a buffet.
this is what I would term as a classic, but here we go. Greetings, guests. Oh, Lecter's lecture. Lecter's lecture. English. Greetings, guests, one and all, for a one-of-a-kind lecture given by one of the most brilliantly twisted minds to ever enter a presentation hall. May I present for your odd and off-center pleasure the schemingly quiet Dr. Hannibal Lecter. Ah, dear children, let us begin with the skeleton stove, the frying of human skin. Served alone on plain white bread, have no fear, dear soul, you'll feel much better now that you're dead. The forearm was grilled at 420 degrees. Please, come forward. I don't want to save all these goodies just for me. Eyeballs minus pupils on a stick. Please, escort yourselves out quietly if you begin to feel sick. A severed thigh raw in my cell. Ah, dear listeners, there are boundless more recipes I could tell. A plump heart sitting adoringly on a metal plate. Fingers sitting there lonely, are lovingly placed on a bun. Now that, with plasma sauce, is what I call finger sandwiches. What fun! Calling a friend for a special dinner date. God help you. I hope they catch me before it's too late. Thank you.
I'm scared.
All right. So far, so good, right? Okay, let's see where we are. Okay. Wow, baby's breath, huh? Wow. All right. Let me see what we're doing. Okay. Again, I'm going way off here. I'm not just going basically. There we go. Yeah. again, I'm going off the list, but here we go. This next one is called A Murderer's Row. Okay. I've only read this one a couple of times, but let me set it up for you. You're in a wax museum, Madame Tussauds. Okay, do we all know where we are?
Yeah.
Good. This one is called A Murderer's Row. Welcome, patrons, to my gallery. You will see the infamous and the feared. Over to my left, you will see John Wayne Gacy, the butcher, spreading his victims' bodies from state to state, keeping some at home for personal trophies. Reverend Jim Jones, captain of his flock, cheating parishioners out of thousands of dollars, spreading fear to his congregation, relocating to Guyana, and creating his own church, the People's Temple, gathering them all together for a final toast to a twisted God, a swift Kool-Aid kill. Mild-mannered stonehold Scott Peterson, who killed his wife and unborn son for a short-lived fling, claiming innocence to the last. Mark David Chapman, a quietly deranged fan who simply wanted an autograph, shot a 1960s icon. Albert Fish, grandfatherly in appearance, lured young children into his home and devised recipes of human consumption. Charles Manson, 5 victims all in a row. Insanity helter-skelter. We may never know the Manson clan. Blood on the floor. All the lifeless bodies whisper, no more. Here, we have a quietly demure woman who eventually took a swing at her parents. Lizzie Borden. I think they got the point. She screamed innocence through the whole ordeal. The jury could not make her say. For the year spent in a cage, she was civil, sharing tea and crumpets with the warden. I assume we were all associated, know the ditty associated with Miss Borden? Thank you for visiting. If you would exit through the door and close your eyes, you're in for a big surprise. Closing the door, sealing the patron's doom. The sign upon the door reads, Victim's Room. Thank you. I see you're all here. And even more victims to come. How nice. Those in the back, push people out of the way and run. Because when I finish here, that's exactly what you're going to want to do. Okay. All right, let me see. I've got the list here. Okay. Now I gotta find in my list in here. Got it now. Okay. Baby right now. I'm gonna have to read that directly, unfortunately. Okay, let's just do. Let me see if I have that. I have the music. The next one I'm going to do is called Baby's Breath. I just have to make sure I have the music for that. Yeah, I think I do. Let me find it really quick. Oh yes, here we go. This next one is called, baby's breath. Okay? Jack and Lily are not two of a kind, but are connected by family, love, and are of one mind. These little ones are inseparable. Their fates locked within a dream. Terrible, insane. Running around for a day of play, chasing each other through their home, making their way into the bathroom. I watch from a distance. Quickly glancing into the mirror, a sticker with the word "Scream" appears. In the blink of an eye, an ear-piercing shriek comes from the bathroom. Dashing in the next sight is a full bathtub with tykes wrapped up in a shower curtain. Early lives dashed. Innocent mistake, stealing baby's breath. Innocent looks preserved, exhaling to the final act. And the final act is death. Thank you. How we doing? Everybody okay? Everybody's here, so we're, well, gee, you know, it's really fun. Oh, I wanted to at least mention that one, because people tell me, like, where do you come up with this stuff? That was, that last one I just read was an actual nightmare I had. And I don't know where it came from. I have no idea. And I just wrote it as it was, and I was like, holy cow, you know? Unreal. Okay. So this next one, I'm gonna have to search for it again, but this next one is Unholy Night, if I can locate it. I think I can. Okay, no. Here we go, yes. This one is my Halloween version of, everybody familiar with the 'Twas the Night Before Christmas?
Yes.
Is there anybody here who has never heard the 'Twas the Night Before Christmas? Dead silence, so I assume everyone's heard it at least once. All right. This is my version of it. Halloween version. Here we go. Unholy Night, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. Oh, I also want to mention that in the place of Santa Claus, there will be a German demon by the name of Alp. By the way, this man, this little thing I'm talking about is real. So here we go. 'Twas the week before Christmas, and what did I see? But 8 corpses under the tree. Along with these corpses, their coffins they came, with deep velvet lining and a personalized name. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of Freddy Krueger danced in their heads. My wife in her cloak and I in my cape have all settled down for a nice dreamscape. When out of the lawn arose such a clatter, I sprang from my bed to see mounds of gray matter. Moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave the luster of midday below. But what did my dismaying eyes appear but a miniature carriage and 8 tiny nightmares? With a petite driver so disheveled and clapped out. By the way, that means a mess, total disaster. Okay. Clapped out. With his red hat just gracing the edge of his scalp, I knew in a moment it must be the great Alp. More rapid than specters, his nightmares they came, as he whistled and shouted and called them by name. On fire, on drowning, on falling in chase, with a flick of his wrist, the little rein snapped. On trapped, on dismemberment, on vertigo and slain, these things of nighttime lore, you all know them by name. Up to the rooftops his coursers they flew, with a sack full of horror stories, and little Alp too. And then, in a thumping, I heard on the roof the strength and weight of each damned hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney Alp came with a bound. He was dressed in black from his head to his foot, and his cloak was covered in ashes and soot. With a bag full of terror and wielding a scythe, he looked like the Grim Reaper's apprentice this night. His eyes, how they frightened. His dimples, how scary. I say scary. His cheeks, oh gee, you know what? Oh, shoot. Get the wrong one? Okay. Shoot, you'll have to do that one again. Sorry, folks. Okay, I'm gonna have to look that one up again. I'm sorry, guys. Let me see. Okay. This time I'm gonna try and find that one again. But in the meanwhile, this one's called Spirit Room. Cobwebs adore my door, my last residence. Walk into the spacious tomb. I welcome you all to my spirit room. Searching for memories, moments in time, brushing away the dust, cutting through the gloom. Thoughts and feelings fill your head as you approach my earthly bed. Looking down, your footing slid upon the viewing of my casket lid. Shutting your eyes as quickly as a vault door, your heart stands at halt. Things behind the lid never seen before. Your throat suddenly goes dry, trying to bring to the surface a futile cry. It was my time to go, child. All of us must die. Muscles and emotions force you to your knees. You raise your head slowly toward the ceiling and the sky. I will always miss you. I don't know if I can go on without you, but I'll try. Thank you. Let's see if I can find that again. I don't know why. Oh well. Jamie. Okay. Okay, I think I found it now. Let's try and do the Unholy Night again, all right?
One more.
Here we go, one more time. Okay.
Feeling.
Okay. All right. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and what did I see? But 8 corpses under the tree. Along with these corpses, their coffins they came, with a deep velvet lining and a personalized name. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of Freddy Krueger danced in their heads. When out of the lawn there rose such a clatter, I sprang from my bed to see what was the matter. No, mounds of gray matter. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave the luster of midday below. But what should my dismaying eyes appear but a miniature carriage and 8 tiny nightmares? With a petite driver so disheveled and clapped out, with his red hat just gracing the edge of his scalp, I knew in a moment it must be the great Alp. More rapid than specters, his nightmares they came, as he whistled and shouted and called them by name. On fire, on drowning, on falling in chase. With a flick of his wrist, the little rein snapped. On trapped, on dismemberment, on vertigo and slain. These things of nighttime lore, you all know them by name. Up to the rooftops his coursers they flew, with a sack full of horror stories, and little Alp too. And then in a thumping, I heard on the roof the strength and weight of each damned hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney Alp came with a bound. He was dressed black from his head to his foot, and his cloak was covered in ashes and soot. With a bag full of terror and wielding a scythe, he looked more like the Grim Reaper's apprentice this night. His eyes, how they frightened, his dimples, how scary. His cheeks were as white as orchids, his nose as bright as a Bloody Mary. I'm going to run that one again. Oh, sorry, I'm really not doing very well here, guys. Sorry. I'm going to back that up really quick. I had that written down too. Huh? Come on. Come on. Come on. Yeah. All right, you know what we're going to do? I know what we're going to do. Feel sad about that one, because I wanted to read that one really good. But, okay. All right. Got another one here called Dinner with the Doppelgangers. Think you might like that one. Okay. Dinner with the Doppelgangers. What fresh hell is this? Doppelgangers are waiting to sample your newest creation. Evil twins in ghostly forms grow impatient with each click of the clock. The first course is small, rather basic. Gruel with a hint of spiderweb for garnish, followed by a swiftly prepared cockroach salad and bits of mortar for croutons. Deep-fried bat swing cooked to a seared charcoal black, pupil soup and frog's legs. Index fingers with plasma sauce, a freshly removed heart, surrounded by a set of human ribs. The liver is well done. Forearms are there only for display. I'll have another eyeball, if I may. The brain is halved upon the serving plate. The butler serves with a toothy grin. May I offer you a piece of kidney pie? Black roses adorn the guest table. The hangman's throwing a ball in the dungeon. Swinging tunes from the centuries past. Join him if you dare. A ceremonial beheading is in the adjacent room. Cobwebs adorn corners, intensifying the gloom. A young woman in a glass coffin plays the wallflower while ghosts dance and chatter on upper floors. Join us for a dinner party that is one of a kind. Your invitation is sent by coach. We sincerely hope you will attend. Some of our activities will blow your mind. The dark side of our guests is revealed. Won't you come inside? Once you enter the foyer, past the front door, there is no escape. Please enjoy yourself. Beyond this point, your sanity will end. Thank you. So how are we doing? We all right? Everybody doing okay?
Yep.
All right. Okay. All right, I am determined to find this. I am. I am gonna find this thing. Whether it's gonna take me the whole half hour that I have left or not. All right.
Put it on Facebook when you get home.
I have it on Facebook several times.
Oh, all right.
Paper's better.
Yeah, I know.
Paper.
Paper? What's that? Oh, here we go.
All
We have the
right.
whole thing this time, ladies and gentlemen.
Yay.
Okay. Unholy Night was the night before Christmas. Okay, here we go. 'Twas the night before Christmas. Oh, sorry. 'Twas the week before Christmas. And what did I see? But 8 corpses under the tree. Along with these corpses, their coffins they came, with a deep velvet lining and a personalized name. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of Freddy Krueger danced in their heads. My wife in her cloak and I in my cape have all settled down for a nice dreamscape. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I ran to the window to see. On gray matter. The moon on the blanket of the new fallen snow has given the illusion of midday, the luster of midday below. When what did my dismaying eyes should appear but a miniature carriage and 8 tiny nightmares. With a petite driver so disheveled and clapped out, with a red hat just gracing the edge of his scalp, I knew in a moment it must be the great Alp. More rapid than specters, these nightmares they came, as he whistled and shouted and called them by name. On fire, on drowning, on falling, now falling in chase. With a flick of his wrist, the little rein snapped. On trapped, on dismemberment, on vertigo and slain. These things at nighttime, Lord, you all know them by name. Up to the rooftops, his coursers they flew, with a sack full of horror stories, and little Alp too. And then, in a thumping, I heard on the roof the strength and weight of each damned hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, when down the chimney Alp came with a bound. He was dressed in black from his head to his foot, and head to his foot, and his cloak was covered in ashes and soot. With a bag full of terror and wielding a scythe, he looked like the Grim Reaper's apprentice this night. His eyes how frightened, his dimples how scary, his cheeks were as white as orchids, his nose as bright as a Bloody Mary. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow. The white of his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tightly in his remaining teeth, and the smoke encircled him like a funeral wreath. He was pale and frightening, a quite evil old elf. I froze up in fear in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had something to dread. He spoke not a word and went straight to his work. He dismantled the stockings with one big jerk. Laying a finger aside of his nose, giving a shriek, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his carriage, to his mares gave a scream, and away they all flew like some really bad dream. And I heard him exclaim, as he disappeared from sight, "Happy Halloween to all, and to all a good night."
Yeah.
Thank you. A little background on that one, considering I've been trying to do that one for a while now, but a little background on that one. Everything I did, it took me almost 7 years to write that one. And every single nightmare, every single reindeer that I call, they are real fears. All of them. So, okay, got that one done. Excellent. I was kind of concerned there for a while. All right. Okay. All right, let's see, I got, oh gee. Oh. All right, okay. Considering everybody's been doing Poes, I might as well do one myself. This one is called Toast to Poe. Oh, another lineup for this one. Apparently there's a little history with Poe's grave. There's somebody or someone, I don't know if they do it anymore, but there used to be one person that would go visit Poe's grave on his birthday every year and leave 3 black roses and a bottle of cognac. He likes cognac, I guess. Okay, well this one is called Toast to Poe. By the tombstone, standing in the frigid air, surrounded by the aura of poetic genius, able only to stare. Under the cover of darkness, leaving 3 roses, whispering the raven and Annabelle Lee under your breath, watching the air turn to steam, standing before the master of the macabre, fulfilling a dream. A crowd starts to gather, watching in silence. Who could it be? Raising a bottle of cognac to the stars, without speaking a word, placing it gently in front of the grave. Standing in the elements, enduring the cold, then briskly walking to avoid the crowd, vowing to return to visit Poe's spirit yearly, before too old. Thank you. Okay. I think what I'm going to do, maybe do 1 or 2 more, and we'll call it. Let me just, oh, the phone. Okay. Shh. Don't ask me what that is. I had nothing.
Another night.
I had nothing to do with it. I had nothing to do with it. Okay. Gonna do about 3 more. This one is called May I Offer You Something? Perhaps something cool to quench your thirst? I see you're a bit apprehensive. We can sit and talk first. I am harmless. I truly am. I'm hoping by night's end I will have my arm around you or holding your hand. Can I get you some blood wine? I realize one night together does not make a relationship. It will take time. Please tell me about yourself, your present and past. Don't look so nervous, my dear. Getting to know one another should not be such a hard task. Watch as the selected liquid cascades over ice. I can prepare anything. Maybe something sweet or dry would be my advice. I am looking forward to spending time with you, serving a lovely white or red. What will happen to you next? Will you be in my bed, or perhaps on the floor, dead? You will know me as a most unique date, but what of your fate? I prefer missing, or better yet, not breathing. Thank you. All right. This next one here is called Tea with the Cemetery Society. Basically, when I came up with this one, I had the idea of, what if you had a tea party in the middle of a cemetery? Okay. Tea with the Cemetery Society. Oh, thank you, dear. How nice of you to come. Let's have some tea and cookies before the setting sun. It is so nice to be amongst friends, reliving past memories. Those are truly the only things we carry with us until the end. Civil conversation surrounded by strangers. But soon, very soon, we shall get to know them much better. These cupcakes are one of a kind. Coffee cream filled with chocolate frosting. Death by chocolate, simply divine. Please, each guest must choose a stone to rest their head against after the tea slips past the lips. Herbal orange or perhaps Earl Grey will help us to our eternal rest. A farm-style cocktail hidden within the tea. Closing your eyes, beginning to dream. I'm afraid, dear soul, it is more real than it seems. We all say our goodbyes to each other, our friends, and the sky. Drifting off to feel comfortably numb, we all hold hands. And with that last exhaling breath, we perform our last mortal act. A very quiet and accepting death. Thank you. Okay. All right. And I think this one is going to be my last for the day. This one has special meaning to me. This one, unfortunately, she could not attend today. I have a literary universe that I have various characters on. Matter of fact, one person actually asked me to kill them a few years ago. I don't know why. The character, not the person. But I wrote a poem for my niece, Sarah. Okay? And I took the idea from Underworld.
Yeah.
Everybody familiar with Underworld? Maybe the movie, right? Okay. It's called The Death Dealer.
Well, yeah.
Okay? If you see a long shadow or hear the clicking of sealed boots, your last mortal sight may be a long overcoat which may resemble a bat's wing. This means a death dealer has been called to sweep out the scum and do their thing. She looks beautiful, doesn't she? Innocent and sweet. I warn you, dear soul, I warn you, dear soul, if she feels an ounce of evil in you, you will end up a carcass left on the street. She carries many weapons. The most dangerous is a simple deck of tarot cards. She will give the victim one, typically the death card, to warn. Then she finds you again. She will have the Seven of Swords to complete the meeting. When these cards form a bond, it is time for your killing, your time for earthly leaving. She has at her disposal hatchets on either hip, a razor-sharp katana, or an extract of the belladonna plant. Victim's choice, my friend, but choose quickly. The sands of time are coming to an end. If you can't decide, she throws her hatchets upon a surface to pin the offender when she tries to reason to see if he can talk his way out. If not, the sleek katanas slide across the throat. Or if she's feeling particularly merciful, an eyedropper of belladonna on the tongue. Either way, her mission is complete, and you're done. I hope the evil she senses in you is not too bad. There are so many examples. Robbery, murder, molestation, all of these are sad. The death dealer is the source of good, keeping the streets clean of evil for the next 1,000 generations. Thank you. Appreciate everybody coming today. Thanks just for being here. I hope you had a good time. And, I hope you sleep well tonight. Thank you for coming.